greatest cathedral on earth. Let us worship the author of creation in all spirit and truth. And this scripture, Psalm 66, 1 through 4, shout for joy to God, all the earth. Sing the glory of God's name. Give to God glorious praise. Say to God, how awesome are your deeds. So great is your power that your enemies come cringing. All the earth worships you and sings praises to you. They sing praises to your name. Let us pray. God of all the earth, creator of the waves and the sun glinting off the lake and the clouds and the trees and the birds singing, may each of us be teachable this morning as our spirit wakes up and listens. Amen.
Once upon a time there was a stone cutter, and he was dissatisfied with himself and his position in life. And one day he passed a wealthy merchant's house, and he noticed that the merchant had wonderful things beyond the gate, and he entertained very important people And he thought to himself, how important and powerful that merchant must be. And the stonecutter became very envious and wished that he could be like the merchant. Well, suddenly he became the merchant, much to his surprise. And he enjoyed more luxury and power than he had ever imagined. But he was also envied and detested by those who were less wealthy than himself. Then one day, a high official passed by. He was carried 6 feet in the air on a fancy embroidered sedan chair. He was accompanied by attendants and by military soldiers beating gongs. Everyone, no matter how wealthy they are, had to bow down to this official. He thought to himself, how powerful that official must be. I wish I could be a high official like that. Well, he became the high official. And he was carried everywhere in an embroidered chair, and he was feared and hated by so many people. Then one hot summer day, like today, he started to become uncomfortable in that fancy embroidered sedan chair. He looked up at the sun, the source of that heat. It shone proudly in the sky. It was unaffected by the presence of anything. How powerful the sun is, he thought. I wish I could be the sun. And he became the sun. And he shone fiercely down upon everyone, scorching the fields, frustrating farmers and laborers. But then a huge black cloud one day moved between the earth and the sun, so that his light no longer could shine down below. How powerful is that storm cloud, he thought. I wish I could be a cloud. Well, you know how it goes. He then became a cloud. He flooded the fields and the villages. He was shouted at by everyone. And then the day came when he was pushed away by a strong force that he realized was the wind. He thought, how powerful is the wind? I wish I could be the wind. Well, he became the wind, and he blew the roofs off of houses, he uprooted trees, and he was feared and hated by so many people. But after a while, as the wind, he ran up against something that would not move. He realized it was a huge, towering rock. How powerful is that rock, he thought. I wish I could be the rock. And he became the rock, more powerful than anything else on earth, until one day he noticed something was changing. He heard the sound of a hammer and a chisel pounding into his surface. What is more powerful than I? He asked. I am a rock. He looked down below, and there he saw the figure of a stonecutter. Writer Jordan Bates says this is exactly the kind of story that the philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche would have enthusiastically approved of. You see, Nietzsche had this life theory called will to power. And he said, for most human beings, there is this innate drive, this common desire that we have to be superior, to be stronger, to be in a better position, no matter where we are right now, to be as powerful as we can be. The challenge, though, with the stonecutter is that he was never satisfied with where he was. He was never satisfied with what he had. He was perpetually seeking more power and what he perceived to be a better life. And by the time this wonderfully circular story is over, what does a stonecutter find? He finds and he starts to understand that he always possessed great power. He had all the power that he needed for his life throughout his life. It was just that he was so busy looking for bigger and better and more that he never recognized it. It's an ancient parable, right? But it seems to be a song that so many of us dance to today. The desire for bigger and better and more. It certainly provide the score for life on the North Shore of Chicago. Aren't we pretty much focused on bigger and better and more? We have great schools, public and private, to send our kids to so they have the best shot at a great life. And we have outstanding teachers offering classes and advanced placements and honors classes to give them the best shot at the best college. We have health clubs and personal trainers to make us stronger. We have highly trained medical professionals to make us healthier. We have investments professionals to guide us towards becoming wealthier. We have cosmetic dentists and plastic surgeons to make us healthier. If that's a word. Bottom line is that there are unlimited resources for us in our lives that allow us to pursue bigger, better, and more. Yet the question is this: is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? I shared with some of you not long ago that there's a middle school student in our church who asked a question at one of our middle school groups. Her question was this: why isn't everything free? You know, it was not a childish question in any way, shape, or form. In fact, it was a profound philosophical query. Why isn't everything free? Well, the stonecutter tells the story. That's what his life symbolizes. And I think Nietzsche's will to power addresses the same thing. There is something about us, it seems, that wouldn't be satisfied with everything being free, with each of us just having our share. For most of us, certainly many of us, are wired in such a way that we want bigger and we want better and we want more. So here's the question to chew on. Is that drive for bigger and better and more a good thing? Because what we're doing is taking the gift of God, the gift of life that God has blessed us with, and we're maximizing it. We're making the most of it in our quest for bigger and better more. Are we then just pursuing the abundant life that God has blessed us with? Or is it the flip side? Is that constant quest for bigger and better more the selfish antithesis of the other-centered life that we're called to by Christ? We'll get back to try and answer that in just a moment.
On his jeans, so newspaper in his shoes. I've got to lose these blues.
So, a couple moments ago I left you with the question, is the reality, and I think it's fair to call it a reality, that we have this pursuit of bigger and better more in most of our lives. Is that a good thing because we're maximizing the gift of life? Or is it the opposite? Is the antithesis a selfish life? Is it the opposite of the other-centered life that we who choose to follow the way of Christ calls us? Or, is it the opposite? Is it a good thing, bigger, better, more? Is it a challenge? Does it take us down the wrong path? And so, in pursuing an answer, let's look at two different directions. One is the Bible, and one is the lives of people whom we respect. So if you look at the Bible with a specific question like this, is this pursuit of bigger, better, more, is that a good thing? I say this with due respect. I think you can pull out of the Bible any kind of answer you want to find in this particular situation. Okay, so for example, there's Koheleth in the Old Testament, in the book of Ecclesiastes. He was someone who had bigger dreams and a greater desire for power than maybe anybody else in the entire Bible. And he also had the means and the ability to attain what he sought. And so he became wiser than anyone. He built greater projects than anyone. He became wealthier than anyone. He pursued everything that was before his heart, kind of like a stonecutter in a way. And what did Koheleth in Ecclesiastes find? He said, everything is meaningless and a chasing after the wind. Anything that's been done that I can do has already been done before, so what's the point? And he said, after all that I've learned, what I really know for sure is that the best we can do is enjoy our work and our food and our drink. And so that points us in a direction that says, this pursuit of bigger, better, and more, that's crazy. Here's someone who's done it. Maybe what we're supposed to do is embrace that Eastern notion of just being in the moment and forget this constant pursuit of more. Well, the other way of telling the story is to look at Jesus. But to look at Jesus in a way that's different than most of us usually think about him. I think from the time we were in Sunday school, back in the days when a lot of us went to Sunday school classes in kind of dank, damp Sunday school rooms that were only open for a few hours per week, and there's a picture of Jesus on the wall, and boy is he handsome. And he's got that chiseled face and shimmering, long, flowing hair, and once in a while there'd be a picture that had blue eyes, and there weren't a lot of Middle Eastern Jews 2,000 years ago who had blue eyes and clean, long, shimmering hair with a chiseled jaw, right? And so, forget about that notion of Jesus. I don't know of anyone in history more compassionate than he, but don't think for 1 second that he wasn't intense. That he wasn't focused. And I believe, as I read the Bible and history and everything else under the sun, I believe with all my heart that Jesus went to the cross 2,000 years ago because he was so passionate about his desire to spread his message beyond just that small population of people whom he had been able to teach face to face. He absolutely had a desire for bigger and better and more when it came to getting his message out. And so the Bible, I'm not sure, helps us. And so we're left with asking the story of people whom we respect or people we know and love. And you know what? There's people I know who have devoted their lives to bigger, better, and more. Kind of a relentless quest for more money, more power, more prestige, to climb higher up the ladder. And you know what? You know people like this too. They get to a certain stage, and then they get right-sized. You know? They give their life to a corporation. The corporation says, thanks, here, it's a check. You're out of here. And by the way, you're gone in the next 15 minutes. Or, I'll never forget a gentleman who was a high-powered lawyer. He climbed the ladder not long after he made partner. Heart attack. He left a nice estate. People had great things to say about him. His pursuit of bigger, better, and more, which had him working 7 days a week, found him in early death. Now, there's another side to the story. I can think of people in this church who will be at one of these two services this morning who have pursued bigger, better, and more throughout their life, and guess what? It's worked out. And those people are among the most generous human beings I have ever met. And during the course of their bigger, better, more lives, they have created jobs for so many people. They help families thrive. And then they get to a place where they have this abundance in their own lives, and all they want to do is give it away and make other people's lives better. So where do we go? How do we think about this? My sense, as I struggle with this question about bigger and better, more during the past week, is that there is not one answer that fits for us all. We're kind of stymied. The fact of the matter is we're all wired differently. We're all radically different human beings. That's what makes life interesting. But just because there's not one answer for all of us doesn't mean that you and I don't pursue an answer that's appropriate for each of us individually. Like a gentleman I had lunch with maybe 10 or maybe 15 years ago. He was a retired chairman and previous to that CEO of a multi-billion-dollar-a-year company. He's not part of our church, but he's someone that I've known for quite a few years. He asked if I'd have lunch with him. We had lunch. He was at a place after his retirement where he was kind of doing a self-assessment, looking back over his shoulder, thinking about the life that he had lived and whether it had been on track and it was the right kind of life. And he wanted to know what I felt God might think about the life that he had led. And he said, Tom, I don't go to church. I don't consider myself religious, but I do think there's a God. And it seems to me that I've lived the life that was right for me, and what I was able to do through our company that I spent my entire career with was create jobs for thousands of people. And you know what? I think God's okay with that. I think that was my purpose on this earth, and that I don't have to be religious. Well, that gentleman, I think, did find his life purpose. Or a variation on that theme, after he asked the question, what is my purpose? Maybe read Steve Jobs' bio, written by Walter Isaacson. It's pretty compelling. And in there is a story of Jobs going to John Scully, who was the very successful and noteworthy CEO of PepsiCo. And Jobs really wanted a seasoned CEO to come take the helm of Apple, something he would later regret. And he pushed Scully, and he pushed him, and he pushed him, and he pushed him, and he said, finally, John, what do you want to do with your life? Do you want to change the world, or do you want to sell sugar water? It was the right question for Scully. He decided he didn't want to keep selling sugar water. He wanted to change the world. There's not one question that's appropriate for all of us. There's not one philosophy that fits for all of us. For some, the pursuit of bigger, better, and more, that's how you're wired, and that's okay. But to get to the place of discovering who I am, who you are, and what is the right path and what is the right journey, note that there is a theme present, whether it's with the stonecutter or whether it's with Koheleth in the Old Testament, who had all of these opportunities come to him, whether it's with Jesus, whether it's with people who were successful as drivers, like a retired gentleman, or like John Scully. In each case, they never stopped looking. They never stopped pursuing. They never stopped asking important questions of themselves. What's my purpose? Who does God call me to be in this time and in this place? And while life informed them, and so while practice and experience outside themselves help provide an answer, what in almost everyone's case is true is that the answer came from that still, small voice within. Not from your mama, not from your papa, not from your teacher, not from your preacher. The answer comes from within.
Summertime is here, need some to keep it cool. Summertime is here, need some to keep it cool. Hey girl, I got something for you. I'm no ice cream man, it's time the winter passing by. Ice cream man, it's time the winter passing by. I know you're good girl, you won't be dissatisfied. I got cream sandwiches, Dixie cups, popsicles, and push-ups. I'm your ice cream man, it's time the winter passing by. I cool you off, little girl, you won't be dissatisfied. I usually come along just about 11 o'clock. I usually come along just about 11 o'clock. You let me cool you off one time, you'll be my regular stop. I got cream sandwiches, Dixie cups, popsicles, and push-ups. I'm your ice cream man, stop me when I'm passing by. I cool you off, little girl, you won't be dissatisfied.
So what's better on a Sunday morning than to gather with friends in the midst of extraordinary creation and in the span of about 50 minutes ask life's most powerful, intense questions like, what's my purpose? Why am I here? And then to wrap it all up with Ice Cream Man. Thank you, gentlemen. Go in peace. Keep an open mind and an open heart. Because that's how I think God speaks to us, quietly and inside. Go in peace. And the people said,
Amen.